week for football. Some good news for Gator fans. Terrific win over Georgia last night in a feel-good atmosphere in Hogtown. We'll cover that tonight. But first, this breaking news. It's breaking fast. I can't keep up with it. This just came in. Kentucky transfer safety Cam Dooley has committed to Florida. He took 29 tackles, 1 FF, 1 FFR, 1 INT, whatever that means. You know what that means. So they just keep on coming there. And like I said in my column, it's like all of a sudden Florida, their new coach, Sumrall, is treating us like a personal buffet. He's getting a bunch of people, not the least of which was Jayden Baugh. Another good storyline yesterday on a special Tuesday. I wrote about it. It felt good. I'm sorry. It felt good. Love to see those Bulldogs go down. And certainly love to see the news about Jayden Baugh is still a Gator. He never left. So lots to talk about tonight with our terrific lineup. Kevin Brockway standing by in the orange and blue room. Get to him first. Peek Wilbur, always good. Love her. She'll be giving us a rundown on the players that Florida's gotten. They're stacking them up there. And we'll talk about the good times that could be ahead for Florida. I'm not going over my skis here. I'm just saying I could use a little good news, and I got some yesterday. Keep it coming. Also, tonight we'll tell you about Franz Beard's special book, and Carlton Reese, the publisher, will be here for that. Talk about that and other things. These are the good times. As I said, it reminds me of the story of the song, I've Loved These Days by Billy Joel.
And for Buddy Martin, call him up and tell him what you're thinking, but be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Welcome to the program. I'm Buddy Martin. The program's called What Else? The Buddy Martin Show. And glad to be the great guest tonight, Kevin Brockway, one of the best reporters out there anywhere where journalists still operate. He even beat me up a lot lately about my SEC prejudice. Hope he read my column 2 days ago. And we'll get him right in here. Then Peek Wilbur will give us her rundown on the assessment of John Sumrall's personal buffet, which has become a really, really good thing for Florida if you follow the results, and they're breaking every minute. I can't keep up. I know I can't. I confess I can't. Let's just see once they're all in what we got. And I think a good reporter like Kevin Brockway will admit that's what we got to do. Good evening to you, Kevin. How you doing?
Buddy, hey, SEC.
All right. That's okay.
Buddy. 4-9, baby.
Yeah, I got it. You didn't read my column, obviously.
I'll have to check it out. But,
no.
I'm sure you alluded to the opt-outs. I'm sure you alluded to the physical grind of the conference. Fair points, although opt-outs happen everywhere. But I do think, too, I think what's interesting, I said on my podcast earlier today, too, I think the CFP has to really look at 16 teams only because I think the rust factor, too. It's hurt Georgia 2 years in a row. The rust versus rust factor, other than Indiana, which, of course, basically embarrassed Alabama. Most of the teams.
Yeah, we get the news here. We know, Kevin, we get the news here. We know what happened. Okay,
yeah.
You don't have to. It's okay. You bring it on. It's fine to do that. I've given you your due. I mentioned the other day that some of my colleagues in the business are saying I'm too SEC prejudiced, and perhaps I was. Let me just say one thing: the SEC is not going away. Okay, it didn't die. Now, here's what I wrote. Listen, I read your stuff. You don't read mine. But here's what I wrote. It was a good run from 2005 to 22. The conference was the most dominant in college football, winning 13 of 17 national titles, including Florida football in 2006 and 2008. The narrative that the SEC remains the strongest conference in America can no longer can be supported. And that's yours. Now, mine was this. Flagship programs have been out-muscled by the Big Ten depth, out-schemed by Big 12 creativity, and out-motivated by the Group of Five hunger. The swagger that once accompanied the SEC helmets is missing, replaced by confusion and familiar refrains of opt-out and meaningless games. But the truth runs deeper than a few missing stars. The gap between the SEC elite and the rest of college football is closing, and quickly. Teams outside the South now recruit on equal footing, wield NIL deals just as lucrative, and use the transfer portal with more precision. Meanwhile, many SEC rosters, bloated with blue-chip talent, lack cohesion and hunger. The result is sloppy football and ugly box scores on national TV. They've all got money now. Okay? Yep. Is that my mea culpa? Does that work for you?
I think that works for me. Hey, let's not forget, too, and I pointed this out in my column, too, 2 years ago, Mississippi State could have Kurt Cignetti. 4 years ago, Florida could have Dan Lanning. I think the coaching, you talk about the sloppy football, the coaching component to that, some of the hires in the SEC have not been up to snuff as much as maybe, some of the Big Ten hires. And I think that's hurt too.
There's less to pick from and everything. Let me just mention that this 2005 date, I've written this and said it many times on this show, not that you would remember this or should, but I remember that the guy that Florida fans loved to hate from CBS, always complained that he's prejudiced, told me back in 2005 that the SEC is getting ready to have a hell of a run. And I said, how come, Gary Danielson? He said, because they got the coaches and the quarterbacks, and he'll take them off. And he was dead on. Now, from that point in time, look, as you point out, won 13 national titles, including 2 by Florida football in 06 and 08. Now, here's the deal. Nick Saban's gone. He ain't coming back. Yes, new, good, great coaches move on. There is transition. For people to deny that there's not at least some kind of trend here, which my friends do, it doesn't mean it does mean something if you follow the trends, and I give you that. But just don't make the mistake of sticking the stake in a stake, S-T-A-K-E, in the hearts of the SEC. They're not done.
Yeah, I think they can recover quickly. I agree with you there because you still have talent, you still have the fan bases, you still have everything that, but the money in some of the states, I mean, that's the other aspect of it too.
It's equal. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you take a look at Ohio State, what they're spending, you take a look at what Indiana has invested now. Mark Cuban just gave them $1 million. And I think that's the thing too. What's interesting is with Indiana, you would normally think it would go to basketball, right? But
not anymore.
People will give money to winners, and I think that was maybe part of a problem with Billy Napier at the end, too. And now you have kind of renewed hope with John Sumrall, and if he can get off to a good start, I think the money will come. Because people like to donate to feeling good about themselves when they're leaving the stadium.
Yeah, and here's the thing: the game that Cignetti had against Alabama. The way they dominated his team. I don't care if they were sure. Alabama's not going to be on top forever, but the way that Florida didn't have one quarter like that out of Billy for all the time he coached. He could never articulate. He couldn't show you. He has some great players, and one of them came back today. I'll get to this in a minute. Jayden Baugh, always one of my favorite Gators since the moment he set foot on the field in the spring game. I loved him. I thought he was going to be a great one. Anyway, the point is that's a big thing. Now, given what they've done in the portal, and especially the last couple of days, things are moving in the right direction. And it's going to be good. So anyway, I want to get to a couple of your stories before Allie gets in here. You have to send me. That was one I mentioned. You sent me 3 things today. Let's see what I got here. By the way, did you hear today that Alfonso Allen is re-signed? Okay, not a great player, but a guy that he graded out one of the top 10 players on defense. So that just happened.
And a guy that wallops people too, which I think Sumrall likes, right? A physical guy.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he's looking for, right? Is guys that are gonna, I think Cam Dooley, this new guy from Kentucky too, apparently fits that mold too. Somebody that's gonna be physical and knock you around a little bit. And I think that's that's what John Sumrall wants to bring. Is that physicality and attacking defense, a defense that's gonna not just pressure the quarterback with that creeper scheme, but get the quarterback on the ground. And we've seen that certainly effective. The teams that have done that in the college football playoff, particularly a team that's dear to my heart, has done pretty well with that.
We know about that one down in South Florida. Got a chance to win a national championship. Who would have thought, right?
Yeah.
Who would have thought? Just here's a little note here. I wanted to bring. You wrote about Sumrall. I just wanted to read a couple of paragraphs from my favorite writer, me. Talk about yesterday, what a special day it was for Gator fans. If you're having a bad day, and I was having one, is last night kind of changed my thinking and my feeling. And I said, and I wrote a column about it. John Sumrall started treating the transfer portal like he thinks is his personal buffet line, with the reminder of the cuisine still being perused, but loading up his plate, going back for seconds, and somehow still finding the way to keep the house special and dessert Jayden Baugh. And on a cool night back at the friendly confines of the O-Dome, a 13-1 Georgia team strolled in as the favorite and a delectable morsel, but left looking like they stumbled into a reunion tour they weren't ready to headline. So now Gator fans, the Gator Nation lingers over these moments. So casually cocky, you think the last few years just a bad dream and not a case file. They refreshed the portal tracker like a wine list, nodding approvingly as Sumrall adds another name, another need, another reason to believe that Florida is no longer nibbling at the edges of modern college football, but sitting right at the main table. They watched Jayden Baugh, first 1,000-yard Gator back in a decade, choose to stay, and it feels less like a transaction and more like a vow. He's the reminder that everybody has to chase a different logo to chase a dream. That sometimes the best place to go is the same place that felt like a hug the first time you went there, the Swamp. Yeah, so that was my thoughts.
That was pretty good. And, they got Evan Pryor to back him up, too, the transfer from Cincinnati. So you have a little depth in that room. I know they're very high in Duke Clark. They've kept him. So Jayden, it'll be interesting to see, if he duplicates that 1,000-yard season or, if you go a little bit by committee, who knows, or if you make him the belt count back again, next year, if that necessitates due to injury. But we do know, he's, versatile talent. He can catch the ball in the backfield. One of the strongest guys on the team, 6'1", 231.
The strongest guy on the team,
yes,
and the strongest guy ever in Florida, ever.
Yeah.
The strongest guy ever. And by the way, he'd be a wonderful tight end, unbelievable tight end. He's so strong. His skills as a receiver have not been utilized, Kevin. You know this. He can really run and catch the ball. So
Billy Gonzalez did a little bit, like that one touchdown against Kentucky. Remember, ran the field and he had him kind of lined up in the slot there, and he caught that touchdown pass. It was about the only highlight of that game. But I agree with you. Like, he's you could use him on wheel routes a little more. I think Buster Faulkner is going to be very creative, and I think having a true dual threat quarterback, either Tramel Jones or Adam Philo, who obviously committed, signed this.
Yeah, well, tell me about Philo. Give me your thoughts. We're going to talk with Tally here in a minute. I've been talking about it for a month now with Shane. Yeah. He's the guy, of course, Buster Faulkner's guy. I watched a little tape on him, not a lot. I'm not a tape watcher, but I watched some. He's a big, strong guy, can throw the ball deep, and he's a runner. That's where they're wanting to go. They're going to run a running quarterback here. And this is their guy, Buster Faulkner's guy. Now they've got him and they've got Jayden Baugh. That takes a lot of pressure off the running back. The problem with 13 last year was that nobody else was going to run the ball probably, unless it was one of the backups.
Listen, I thought when Billy G ran Lagway a little more and helped Jayden, obviously, and that could carry over into this year with Philo or Tramel Jones, who showed that he had some wheels too. So I think that sets up pretty well for Jayden in that regard. And listen, Philo, I think he brings a toughness to that position too. That's what they want, and I think certainly John Sumrall's comments on the podcast yesterday regarding DJ and his meetings with him was very telling. Not that he necessarily ran him off, but he said, "Hey, look, if you stay here, you're going to have to."
That was another one of your stories. You said said you want to make clear that he did not run him off.
Yeah, but that if you do come back, you're going to have to compete. We demand a certain level of toughness for you. We do know that DJ had a lot of nicks and bruises, injuries. Wouldn't necessarily practice through those, right? And I think that they want a quarterback that sets that kind of tough mindset that, hey, look, even if I'm, banged up a little bit, I'm going to play. I'm going to be there for my team. I'm going to be a leader. And I think they feel like, between Philo and Tramel Jones, they could find that guy.
I think that's what Shane thinks a lot. He believes that. And also, I bet this is what Allie believes. I don't know what was taking place, but they didn't have to say the words. You could kind of feel it, whether they want him back or not. And the implication, even though he didn't say he didn't want him, was he wasn't going to come in there and be their chosen one. And that might have been, let's see what Allie thinks. Good evening to you, Allie. How you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Hello. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So you are. What do you think what happened with the QB when he left? And are you sorry to see him go?
I think DJ Lagway has a lot of talent. I think he is a really good person. I think he comes from a great family, and I think he represented the University of Florida well. So I am sad to see him go from all of those standpoints. And I never like it when a player, leaves. I don't, that doesn't make me feel good. I don't know that I think it's this like huge dramatic loss by any means. I think this season, a lot of damage was done potentially to his psyche. I don't think he was ever fully healthy. And I think it would have been a rebuild project. And I think that it might be best for him to get a fresh start and a clean slate somewhere else. And same thing for us. From what I was told is that he didn't feel wanted from this staff. Now, what was said in that meeting, I don't know. I would hope that any coach that comes in and says, hey, everybody's going to have to earn their position. We're a 4-8 team last year. Every person should have to, there should be no promises for starters on a team that went 4-8. So I don't have any issue with them saying that at all. I'm sure they weren't like, hey, no matter what, you have to see the door. Now, I'm sure they wanted him to take a pay cut, and rightfully so. If the rumors are true, he was making about $3.5 million.
I haven't pinned that down yet, but that's been kicked around.
I mean, I've heard that number, that ballpark, kind of a lot, and I think it probably was the market for what it was last year, for what he was last year. But I don't see the justification for that moving forward. So I'm sad because I think he's a high quality person and I think he's got a lot of talent. I don't view it as a massive loss, though, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
By the way, I was going to just quickly interject. The number that we were hearing for Baugh is 1.3.
That's what I heard. Well, I heard it from a really good source. I don't usually have these kind of sources. No. This guy knows the deal, and he said 1.3.
And I think he's worth every penny of that. I think that there is a morale boost for this fan base when you get him back. I think it gives some credibility to this staff. And I think he's the best running back in the country. So, let's go.
Yeah. Kevin and I talked earlier, and I'll get to your take on this, since we are Kevin's the more reserved journalist. He has taken with his background, Miami baggage he's got. We are kind of like, okay, Yahoo, it's okay to be a little bit of a homer. Let's don't lie. We love to see the Gators win. There we go. We don't run from it. We don't go out there and beat the drums.
I will never wear my Hurricane shirt on here.
Yeah, well, we wouldn't get it on this program, right? I can tell you that. But the bottom line is that I think we know. I mean, it's kind of what it is. I mean, you lambaste them when it's like your own family. You're harder on them when they don't do good, right? But when they do well, you really go overboard. You gush about them sometimes. Yeah. So having said that, Kevin and I talked about this a little bit before you came on. For me yesterday, I wrote a column about this. I think I mentioned it to you today about kind of having a tough day and didn't know where to go with it. And I was sort of looking for anything because it's been a dry spell in a lot of ways in personal situations, nothing critical, but stuff that's really getting me down. Looking for a little bit of light in dark, just a little bit of light and not finding it. And it's hit in the afternoon thinking, man, I cannot take a big loss to Georgia basketball. I can't take it. I'm overloaded. I can't take one more thing.
Right.
So I turn it on and I watch, and I'm very happy at what I see. And I see Urban, which is great. I love the picture of Urban and Urban Clubs are. I ran that on my column today. Urban meets Urban, and Urban was really living it up. Meyer was living it up. And the whole feeling, even though I wasn't there, was something that kind of was uplifting. I felt it. Allie, did you feel it?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's hope among Gator Nation right now. And, we've spent all off season last year talking about how winning begets winning, right? And we talked about the fact that basketball national championship, maybe that was going to translate over to the football field, and like everything was a buzz. And obviously that didn't pan out that way. But I do think this newfound hopefulness is kind of buzzing everywhere through Gainesville. And, we still have to win on the field, and that, may or may not happen. We won't know until August. As far as the basketball team goes, it seems like they're, really starting to click when it counts. And we talked earlier in the season when we talked about basketball about how, their record wasn't necessarily pretty, but they were this close against, really, really good teams, and that these struggles would pay off later on when they got into SEC play. And, maybe we're starting to see that happen there. But I do feel like there's a little bit of a hopeful buzz, and it may be us drinking the Gatorade, Kool-Aid, but it does feel like there's some differences happening.
It is called Gatorade. Let's be honest. That's what it's called.
I think this portal is such a great example of the contrast between these two staffs. Billy Napier moved slow on those things, and it was because he said he needed to be intentional, and he really needed to get the right puzzle pieces, and they wanted
yeah, right. Guess
that
what?
was what we were told.
Guess what?
And they moved slow, and we missed out on players. I mean, I started writing. I have a video that it is now recorded. It still hasn't dropped, but I had to stop my script like 10 different times over the last 2 days because I was trying to get everybody that had committed to us
and more people.
Yeah. And every time I was like, well, shoot, now somebody else announced. All right, well, we've got to start over here. Oh, shoot, another person. And I do not remember, except for that one recruiting weekend where they got like 6 guys, and it was in like the end of June a couple years ago. Outside of that one official visit weekend, we had nothing like this, certainly not in the transfer portal. No. So, I mean, there is some distinct differences happening, and that's what's feeding the hope, I think.
It's funny about this portal, because I'm doing my tracker too, Allie, and just putting Cam Dooley, right? And coming from a pro sports town, a pro sports background like New York, they lost Katie Daniels to Wake Forest, and they got Micah Mays from Wake Forest. They lost Jordan Castell and Arrogation, Kentucky. They get Cam Dooley. This is almost like trades. I mean, this is how crazy it is, right? When you look at it, from that standpoint. It's kind of funny, but 14 right now commitments, and I think the center from Georgia Tech is Harrison.
Yeah, he's going to come over.
He's on the verge, and there's some rumblings that Jayden Woods is probably going to come back by 20.
That's the good news there.
Some great news. I also just saw a few minutes ago that there is another offensive lineman from Penn State who's coming to visit. That just
huge guy.
And I think he redshirted this year, so we can get a piece that obviously Phil recruited at Penn State, so he's familiar with, and he's got a ton of eligibility left, and that's huge too because we need those depth pieces. I could not be happier with the way the portal's going. And if they do, in fact, re-sign Jayden Woods, which that's the word on the street right now, we'll wait for the official announcement, but it looks good. They will have gone 5 for 5 on the people that I think were the most important for them to retain. Yeah. And that is pretty remarkable, I think.
It looks pretty good, like a roster building. We're going to go through this, guys, together here. And thank you for that, Allie. Let's go backwards. So we just picked up. What were the 2 we just got just now, Kevin?
Cam Dooley and
Eli Owens.
Owens, a JUCO from. Yeah. I would like, I have a lot of faith in Phil Troutline, but I would like to see them get kind of a stud tackle because you got Caden Jones. You got Bryce Lovett that didn't quite work out there on the right side, and then Caden Jones took over.
Well, these guys are offensive linemen coming. Let me go up this list that you guys comment. Yeah. Harrison Moore. Go ahead, Allie. What do you want to say?
Oh, I was going to say TJ Shanahan and Egan Boyer both are coming over from Penn State. And
big, huge guys, both of them.
Boyer's a tackle, but Shanahan, I think, is an inside guy. And Fletcher Westfall's coming back, but he's had those wrist problems.
Yeah. I like
Fletcher about him, but I'd like to see them get another established tackle or two for that offense.
Let's talk about who they got. Harrison Moore is going to fall. It's going to happen. He can replace Jake Slaughter, which is what they need desperately. Then you've got Alec Clark, the punter from Tulane, Patrick Jerkin, a kicker from Tulane. A lot of Tulane guys here. Elijah Owens, I think you mentioned, defensive back from Gulf Coast, Mississippi. Obviously,
those two specialists from Tulane. Those are the kind of players it's okay to take.
Yeah, no, I agree.
All conference. Right. That's where it's going to translate. Like, I don't need an entire roster from Tulane, but the two guys we're taking being specialists, that's going to be an easy translation, and they're good.
Right. TJ Shanahan Jr., we mentioned him, offensive line at Penn State. Started 5 games this season.
John Jalapeno's cousin, by the way. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. We got DK Kalu, defensive lineman from Baylor. Bailey Stockton, a guy people talk about being a really terrific wide receiver at Georgia Tech. I don't know these guys. I'm just going by what they say about him. You mentioned Cam Dooley. We got him. DJ Coleman, a safety from Baylor. It's like they're getting a lot of safeties, a lot of offensive linemen. I like that.
Evan Pryor from Cincinnati, that running back.
Yeah. What is Cincinnati suddenly have all these stars coming out? Their quarterback was all of a sudden a superstar. Lakota Dipper, I don't know, he's a tight end from James Madison, right? Yeah. We mentioned Evan Pryor, running back from Cincinnati. Micah Mays from Wake Forest, you mentioned him. Emmanuel, I can't pronounce it. Emmanuel Ovibadio, defensive lineman from Jacksonville State, 41 tackles. Huge guy.
6'7", 295.
Huge monster.
Yeah, that's interesting. That size of that wingspan is interesting. Yeah.
And I guess the guy as we're talking about is Aaron Philo. We've been talking about it now for a long time. We thought that was going to be Faulkner's guy. It is. He completed 58% of his passes for 1,000 yards, almost 938, and 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 95 rushing yards, rushing scored 6 total appearances, 2 seasons. Anyway, so he broke Trevor Lawrence's high school passing record in Georgia. How about that? Huh?
Yep.
Trevor Lawrence is pretty good, the name right there. Yeah. His 3 years of eligibility left because he'll compete with Tramel Jones, who I like, by the way.
Who I like a lot, too, and I think has a great chance to, win that job. I think he's very capable.
I think the difference is that he might not be the runner. Maybe this guy is. I think they want a running quarterback.
I think they'll probably take another quarterback in the portal. I think that room is just a little thin still. I would not be surprised if it's an older guy, like kind of the way that happened with Graham Mertz. If you got somebody with just 1 or so years of eligibility, but that can kind of come in and be plug and play if they need him to. You truly, if you've beefed up the offensive line, you've brought back Jayden Baugh, you've brought back BB3 and Dallas Wilson, you just need a game manager back there for next year, and you let those explosive pieces do their thing. But I could see another piece coming into that room. Need another scholarship guy, I think.
Let's not forget in 2024, we saw the importance of the depth at the quarterback position. With Mertz going down, and then even Lagway, and you had to play Aiden Warner in that Texas game, and that didn't quite work out. But you did have those 2 guys. And listen, when Georgia Tech upset Miami a couple of years ago, they played Philo and Haynes King. They kind of alternated them a little bit. And I think King might have been coming back, but who's to say that maybe you get creative with Tramel Jones and Philo if they're equal, and play them a little bit, and or particularly the first 2 games to kind of get a feel and to see who you roll with.
Yeah.
Well, Faulkner certainly got the rep, but people said that he left Georgia and that Bobo was called the plays. That's one reason he left. And he's everything what people like Shane Matthews tell me, this guy's really good.
They haven't won a national title since he left.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And they're out of it again. How about that? Who would have thought? We'll get to the playoff games in just a minute. I want to get to one other thing here. I got this for the New York Times via Twitter X, how you call it that. Here's the range they're talking about for, and this, I don't have any idea if this is accurate, but let me give it to you guys and see what you think. Okay. For getting players out of the portal. And obviously this memo must have been to John Sumrall because he's really knocking it dead. I think they're leading the SEC in portal guys, and they're bringing in some good looking people. Quarterback, they say, is $1 million to $4 million. You've heard higher, but that's what they're saying it is, $1 to $4 million. Offensive tackle, you think it'd be more, 600 to 1.3. Running back is low, 400 to 900. So 1.3, if that's what Jayden Baugh got, he did okay. Wide receiver, and I think they was worth every penny of it. Tight end, 300 to 900. So that's not as high as I thought. Edge rushers, here you go, 500 to 2 million. They're very desirable now, the edge rushers. Interior defensive line, 500 to 1.5 million. Corners, 250 to 1 million. And safeties, 250 to 900. What do you guys think of those numbers?
I mean, I guess they're doing running back kind of like they do in the NFL now, where it's kind of a lesser paid position compared to some of the others. The quarterback, no, I mean, I guess that sounds right. I don't know. Is there a scenario where DJ Lagway comes back for way less money because he tests the market and realizes he's not going to get that?
Back to Florida?
Yeah.
No, they're done with him.
The
reason being, here's why, and I wish he would, but it's not going to happen. When there's certain things that happen in business. When you buy a restaurant, unless it's especially Chinese or something, you're going to have your own chef. You just aren't going to bring someone else's chef in. And I hate to make this sexist reference, but I was talking to a friend of mine the other day. When a guy gets married a second time and he has a house full of beautiful furniture, his next wife comes and he's not keeping, and she's not keeping that furniture.
Yeah.
She's just not, right? I mean, I've never known them to keep it. So I think this is like my house, my place, my business, and they want their stamp on it, and they don't know really what the team was like before. Yeah. So, and I think that was made pretty plain by Sumrall when he came in. Now, this is my roster. I'm not going to hire my buddies. And he's gotten, although he did hire a few more than we thought, people that he coached with. I don't blame them. They're good coaches. And I think that's the key. I mean, there's going to be change, and I don't see any way whatsoever. I think he's no longer an option. He's done at Florida. He needs to go to Baylor. And what he ought to do is go get a surgery right now. That's what he ought to do. But it probably diminishes value. If he could go to Baylor and say, let me have surgery and I'll play 2 more years, or whatever, because he needs surgery. He needs it. Everybody knows that, right, Kevin?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, too, with DJ again, and going back to the story from the podcast today, I think that what Sumrall is looking for are grinders, right? And I think the country club era is over for certain guys. And I think that's why certain guys left, because Sumrall's going to demand a little more for them. And maybe that didn't jive with their approach to practice, their approach to work habits, or maybe Sumrall even gleaned that from, his research into the program when he first got here. So I think that that's the main thing. And that's why he wants guys that are going to fit his culture, which is toughness and accountability. It's going to be a little different around here. There's a new sheriff in town. And I think that's why you're seeing the turnover that you're seeing, even though it's alarming and it's like by one count over 30 guys, a lot, some dead weight to be sure, but some starters, like Jordan Castell and Trey Wilson, who landed at LSU today, Sharif Denson. But I think that he wants guys in here that it's going to fit what he wants to do.
Allie, how do we all keep up? I like you talk. It's just really, when you think about it, and I'm not complaining, there's a lot of stuff going on. Here we have one of the biggest football weeks ever of all time. With, in addition to the playoff games, we got some fantastic NFL games this week. And even the what I used to call Division II championship, I guess it was a remarkable game in Montana State. I didn't get a chance to watch it. My bandwidth, I couldn't take one more football game. Yeah. We've got so much going on. Now we get basketball, big win last night. Maybe things will start turning around there. And now we got these new, like you said, Allie, every time you start putting together a roster, another name pops up. And we've got National Signing Day every day around here. Really, what do we do here?
I think this is a great problem for Gator fans. We are used to moving at a snail's pace, so it is hard to keep up with all of them. But I think it's better than the alternative for sure. But this whole calendar needs to be adjusted. I mean, everybody knows it. Whether or not somebody has the ability to do the adjusting is a totally different story. But this is this is silly. This should not be going on while we've got the playoffs going on. I don't think the national championship game should be happening on January 20th or whatever date, it's happening. That's too late. This is craziness. I am at least there's only one portal window this year at least. And so we don't have to do this again in the spring, which I think is at least good. But this is madness. All of this is crazy.
It's crazy.
By the way, buddy, a quick basketball update in Missouri.
Sure. But I want to talk basketball. Go ahead.
Just beat Kentucky at Rupp. So maybe that loss doesn't look as bad as initially anticipated. That Florida losing by 2 up there in the frozen tundra of Columbia, Missouri. But they came back and they did a nice job and did what they had to do. They got their first SEC win. Played a little more of their identity. Plus 20 on the boards. Tommy Houck, what he's doing right now is just.
Well, I got some special things to say about Tommy Houck. He's one of my all-time favorite players. But I'm going to do a quick commercial and come back. We'll talk about the basketball team and where they are now. It sounds terrible, but they've lost 5 games by 17 points. And now they're going to be home for a long time. And suddenly this could be on a heater here. We'll see. By the way, our friend Ken Poke Races on 3 has UF ranked at 28th in portal rankings. Sounds kind of low to me, but I don't know.
They haven't kept up with the 87 that happened.
No, they don't. They're way behind, right? No, we're way behind. All right, so let me tell you about our friends I talked to today. I just want to say I love Jeffrey Melvin, okay? I just love the guy. I love talking to him. He's a get-it-done guy. He helps people. And I told him today that the promotional thing he did, buying 10,000 rings, replica, was maybe the greatest promotion I've ever seen by college basketball. I mean, that's unbelievable. They're good-looking rings.
Yeah.
And so kudos to him.
Sell them on eBay.
And Jeffrey, his heart is there. He's the kind of guy you walk up, and I talked to Jeffrey a good bit, and we'll talk about something, and some couple people say, well, let me help you with that. And he jumps in. So he happens to be a lawyer. He's a Gator. If you need any help with your law firm, or you need a lawyer, who doesn't at some point in your life, I recommend you check on him if you live in the North Florida or now South Florida. As you went in Gainesville, Ocala, Williston, Lake City, he has offices there, and also just opened one down in South Florida. They've gone to over 50 attorneys now. And Jeffrey is, if you like doing business with Gators, and this is the guy. He's the only official law firm of the University of Florida. Basketball. These Gators can play. We know it's not a pretty thing to see when you're coming down the court needing a 3-point shot and your guard's got the ball and he's 0 for 5 and he's shooting what would have been a winning bucket in Missouri, and we know it's just not going to go in. It doesn't. And I don't know, Kevin, how bad it is, but I mean, their shooting has been atrocious. They've got some guys who can shoot the ball better, but I think last night in the game they got themselves back in it with their guards playing good defense, stealing the ball, and running a fast break. What is wrong with that team?
No, I think it's, the perimeter shooting in the book is out, right? But you notice that, Mike White went to a zone a little bit, and
I would do the same thing.
You can, and a lot of teams are going to do the same, but you can offensive rebound against zones, because, everyone is looking in front. So there are going to be some opportunities there for Chinyelu and Condon to clean up, and they've got to clean up. And Missouri was a little bit of a bigger team, so it wasn't as good of a matchup that way. Tommy Houck had 12 rebounds. He had logged in.
I'm going to talk about that right now. This is a line on Tommy Houck, who he is to me as a basketball player what Jayden Baugh was to me when a football player when I first saw him. I love Tommy Houck. I have this in common with the coach from UConn. He loves watching him play too, right? Here's his line last night, and he really looked like he scored more. 21 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, 4 blocks, 8 for 15 in field goals, and 2 for 5 on 3-point.
Buddy, I said on my podcast he did everything but turn the lights on at the O'Connell.
Yeah, I think he could have probably sold the popcorn too. But I love the kid. I've told today by a good friend that his parents are amazing.
Yeah.
His mother's a school teacher.
Great people. Yeah,
and said she's beautiful. And as my friend told me, and he knows them. He's entertained them a few times. He says they're just great people, and I just love this kid. That's the kind of kid I see him come through the university and play. And I wish he'd stay, but he's not going to because he's a lottery pick, right, Kevin?
Yep, small town, New Oxford, Pennsylvania, like little small, Pennsylvania Dutch kind of South Central town.
Right.
Played basketball in a barn, when he was a kid. It just comes from central casting that way. But no, just really, and look, 39 minutes against Missouri, 36. He's leading the SEC in minutes played, 33.7.
Wow.
He is really carrying the load here, and you wonder and you hope that doesn't impact him in February, March. But they've got to establish more depth, and I thought that was a good thing they did in the Georgia game as well. They got 26 points from the bench.
Like I said, get Brown in there more often.
Isaiah Brown played well, for sure, and Cloudshire hit some threes. He was 3 of 7, 11 points. Nice behind the back pass. So they need, that's part of what made last year's team. People forget last year. Huck was the 6th man, and you had a team that was 9 deep, Denzel Aberdeen with no drop off. And this year's team, you've got to establish that. That would bode well for them in the SEC.
Right, Allie. I'm gonna let Kevin go because I promised I would keep him so long. He's got work to do. But I know you follow everything in basketball. Who's your favorite player there, and what do you think about the best?
We just talked about him, Tommy, for sure. I thought, he was so dominant last night. And I do love hearing the personal stories, though. I think that's it's nice to humanize them. It's nice when people, it's nice when you're good off the court and good on the court. Those are the best kind of stories. He was incredibly dominant last night. Absolute difference maker, and hopefully will be down the stretch. I didn't want to interrupt you guys while you were going, but
go.
Sports and Matt Zenit are now reporting that Jayden Woods will, in fact, return to Florida.
I saw that.
Heard the rumors all day, obviously, but CBS Sports just tweeted that out just now. And I know we've all probably heard the same thing, that this was going to happen, but I think this is probably the most official source until UF puts something out, which hopefully they will in the morning.
Thank you for that, and keep
on. That's my cue because I have my story pre-written, so I'm gonna have to get on it. But
I'll let you go. Thanks, Kevin. Kevin Brockway,
thank you guys.
Sure, thank you. Appreciate it very much. Thank you very much. All right, Allie, I don't know how long you think we should be able to say Happy New Year, but it ought to be. I've always had a rule up that you say as long as you want to, but it seems like anything over 10 days is.
Well, I think you see it the first time you say it the first
time. Somebody first time,
in that year,
that's a good point. That's a good way to do it because I've seen this person, but I haven't seen him since New Year's. And by the way, Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, and I want to get your take on a lot of things. Let's go get this guy here too. He's one of the best editors I've ever worked with, and it's my pleasure to say we worked on the book together. Carlton Reese, who apparently didn't pay his light bill because it's just so dark.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I'll try and turn another light on over here.
And also brighten up your computer, too. Anyway, Carlton said good evening to Allie. You can say Happy New Year to her. And let's go to work on some of these people, some of these players that I got a message today saying, ask Allie about these players. She knows this stuff. So we went over them just now. And I want to start that, Allie, by saying you're obviously encouraged by the portal. Now you got more news about that. What is it that you like about what he's doing, other than the fact he's doing something, which Billy didn't do anything, and you were on him all the time?
I think a combination of things. I do. If I had to pick 5 players that I wanted to retain, it would have been VB3, Dallas Wilson, Jayden Baugh, Miles Graham, and Jayden Woods. So if in fact this news about Jayden Woods is accurate, he retained the 5 players that I would have said are the most important to retain. So I think that is huge. I also love the breakneck pace that he's working on in the portal. It is nothing like we have seen before. I think that the previous staff, it was kind of lost on them that the way you approach high school recruiting is the exact opposite of how you approach portal recruiting. With high school, you want to be the last visit that they get because you want to be the last thing that they think about. With portal, you have to move so rapidly because there's a great chance players never get to their second visit. And for some reason, that never registered with this staff. They thought they had a long time to evaluate. They thought they wanted to make sure they got the right pieces. The intention was correct, right? It was making sure that they vetted someone so well that they could immediately just jump in and there would be no hiccups along the way. But it's not how the portal operates. And so Florida suffered because of that, I think. So, I like how real Coach Sumrall seems so far. Like, I don't know if you saw the interview where he talked about his conversation with Lagway and stuff. And he basically said, like, I wish all of my players well, and I hope he does well, except for when we play him. And then he talks about how he had a player from Tulane who left and went to, I believe, Duke, his quarterback from last year. And he said, I wish him well in every game except for when we play each other. And when we played him, we beat him. Which is exactly, what had happened. And I love the fire. I love the passion. There's part of him that just is so Spurrier or so Urban, just so what this Florida fan base craves. And so I really hope it translates on the field because it's selling me off the field.
I was talking to Carlton last night about this game and how much it gave me joy to watch it. And it reminded me of Billy Joel's song, I've Loved These Days, remembering what it used to be like when Florida won.
Yeah.
And seeing that there and seeing Urban at the game. Mm-hmm. And later he went back in the locker room and he and Urban Klebsar met each other for 2 Urbans.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. That was very cool. And you could tell Urban really enjoyed being there. And that was nice to see. So
like maybe he feels, it's such a difficult situation when a living legend comes around to a program that he's no longer in charge of, and I can see a scenario where Urban would be hesitant to inject himself because he didn't want to make the head coach feel any type of way. It seems like Coach Sumrall has been incredibly amped about the idea of having Urban around and having Spurrier around, which I think you should obviously take advantage of these 2 living legends who you have access to. But a lot of previous staffs haven't. And I think they've maybe been intimidated by that concept, but it doesn't seem like Coach Sumrall is. And I think it's best for UF if Urban and Spurrier are involved. So I think it signals some shifting going on, and I love that.
Yeah. What did you think, Carlton? Will you make you happy last night?
Yeah. Urban was in his comforts of Georgia, so being there, that was portended
Did
good
he make
things.
Call timeouts?
And I actually put that in my column, Gally. I said it makes you so feel good. I wish everyone would call a timeout. Yeah, only a few of you would get that.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm about to lose. It looks like Carlton's Wi-Fi is slipping away, but real fast, Carlton. We got some books signings going on. We want to be sure and plug here. Coming up, you'll be hearing commercials in Gainesville and Ocala on Franz Beard's book signings. He's going to do one or 2 of them. He's going to do one in Ocala at Cogent Bank, actually 2 at Prestige Auto. He's also doing some in Gainesville, and he's got a terrific spot. We're going to start playing next week. You'll hear it. And let me just say to you that the book is really, really good. It's going well. We don't have a big budget, so it's word of mouth. So if you've read the book, and now you got to make sure you got one if you don't have one.
I know. I need to get one. I don't have one.
Now, Carlton, will you send her a book?
Absolutely.
All right. So why don't you exchange addresses here and send her a book? And I'm going to make you write me a 100-word review on it, okay?
I can do that.
All right. So if you, Carlton, if you would do that, I appreciate that. I don't know if you have her information, contact her or not, but certainly would like to do that. And so anyway, Carlton, we can't hear you or barely see you barely. So you got to get you that other Wi-Fi you used was better. But nonetheless, thank you for everything you've done. And we'll try to get you one comment if we let you go because you just can't see the book.
Bank on Ocala and Prestige Auto on US2 for those 2 places to do a book signing. So I think anyone.
If you need to know nothing else, just go to Spurriers.com, shop, and you'll see the book right there. You can buy it off Spurriers, and they'll ship it to you. Yeah. Sorry, I can't hear you, Carlton. We'll try it again next time. Appreciate it. All right. So, Allie, we're going to finish up here now. I know you've been a really busy person with all your holidays and not, whatever. Now you're back in your mode. Where are you going these next few weeks with what you're on the program, aside from assessing what you're seeing in the players as best you can? We're both feeling pretty good. We're not going to get over our skis here. Okay. Not going to follow that with a first date or whatever, but we are encouraged, aren't we?
Yeah, we are encouraged. And I think, You and I talked so much about how we think it's so important to get to know these coaches and their stories. And so I would love to do a few pieces where we kind of explain who these guys are that are now working for the University of Florida and why they are worth rooting for. I hope to have some interviews, going as well in the next few weeks with some former players and maybe some upcoming players, current players. Would love to pick some brains about the transition between Napier's tenure and Sumrall's tenure. I would love to hear from some guys what Coach Sumrall's selling point was. What was his pitch about coming back or about, him being the new head coach? Some of my favorite stories from when Eric played are about when Urban came in and the transition that happened there. And, I think maybe a similar situation in that Zook was a player's coach. They loved him. And so, I think
your husband played for him. You
yeah. And I think that's the same thing for Napier. It didn't work out, but I think a lot of players really, really liked him. And that always makes transitions interesting, and Urban did such a great job of selling himself at that first team meeting. And I know what he said. I have no idea what Coach Sumrall said, but it obviously worked because a lot of people are being retained. And so I would love, and did Urban give Sumrall any advice about that? Urban has, the few times I've had Urban on, he's made it clear that he really despises when a new coach says stuff like, well, when I get my new guys in, when I get my guys in, we'll see, or whatever. And how the moment you take that job, they're all your guys. And that has always stuck with me. And so I'm interested to hear, how did this go down?
Yeah, it's going the right way right now. And people are, getting our hopes up. And you can't be afraid to be hopeful.
What's fun is it if we're going to have a bad attitude about it? This is a sport and the university that we love. So you might as well be hopeful when there's things to be hopeful about, because otherwise, why are you a sports fan? What is fun about being negative all the time?
I'm glad you said that, because let's get, here's a typical comment. It's like people who had a boyfriend or a girlfriend and they got a bad experience. And they say, I don't want to love anybody. I'd better love and lost than I love it all. Here's an example from, I don't know, Neo. He says, not high expectations for Florida this year in football. Maybe that's a good thing. I'm not expecting much. I understand. Low expectation, low risk, whatever. But the fact is, at some point, you're going to have to make a choice. And when your team is suddenly 6-1, and you got some players that are just knocking the daylight side of things, you think, well, wait a minute, am I just too late to get back on the bandwagon? Because the bandwagon is going to be cranking up here, and it's going to change. And I know Dahlia and I have been accused of this before, getting blinded by orange and blue glasses. But we also talk about it when they're bad. We don't mind it. So I think, like I said last night, and I appreciate this so much, I tried to express it in this column on GatorBaitMedia.com, that you understand the value and the importance of the great feelings that you can have about things outside your regular life. If you have a team or a program that you're embedded with, that you care about, and suddenly they give you a lift at just the right time, when things are not going well, and you think, please don't let me down. And they come through for you and things begin taking off. Next thing you know, you're humming the snow. It's like Billy Joel again. I've loved these days, So that felt good to me. Yeah. Here's Brockway makes a good point here. He's right. We never saw much out of Billy. We never saw much emotion out of Billy. I think he thought he had to be Nick Saban. I don't know what happened.
But we even saw more emotion from Nick Saban on the sidelines.
I know, but I don't know who he's trying to imitate.
Watching Tulane's bowl game and their playoff, watching their playoff game, I have no doubt we are going to see some emotion on the sidelines. That get back coach better have some big muscles, because I think that they're going to get
I love that. You should get a hold of the get back coach and find out who he is and interview him.
I need to know. Whoever he is probably going to need a pay raise. But
exactly.
I do think you kind of have to understand your fan base. And if I don't know that I believe that Napier's staff ever took the time to understand the culture here. I think that they thought
absolutely 100% correct. 110. They never took the time. They're rent-a-coach.
And they thought that they were coming in to fix a culture.
Yeah.
And that's not true. They needed to assimilate and understand what the fans needed and wanted. And a so simple explanation is the fact that fans complained for 4 years that the whole staff wore black. If you're a coach and you're needing some goodwill and you understand that this is something that you guys do that the fan base thinks is stupid, why would you not do something as simple as switch to blue? Billy Gonzalez did it first game. And when people commented on it, it's such a simple thing that they dug in about where they could have gotten an easy win. There is so many ways that they could have assimilated into the culture at Florida better. Now, I think the outcome probably would have been the same in the long run, but you might have been able to have fan support longer had you gotten a chance to understand what makes them tick. And that would be my biggest piece of advice to Coach Sumrall would be learn what makes us tick, learn about our crazy, idiosyncrasies and become one of us, because we will have your back when the chips are down. If we feel like you're not a mercenary, we feel like you are a Gator.
Of all the things you said in this program, that's one of the most true statements you've ever made. You absolutely nailed it. And it's like, okay, I got another job. I'll take my resume here and I'll go do this. And by the way, I'll put on the wear the uniform, but I'm going to do the same things I've always done.
That's reusing their exact hashtags and tweets from when they joined the Florida coaching staff at James Madison. They're like, okay, day 3 of the new agenda. Here are the tweets to send out. Like, it just mind-boggling to me. I don't know how somebody who isn't more social media savvy isn't like, hey guys, these things are forever. People are going to know that we've already used this one.
Yeah, exactly right. Like they took it, and I hate to say give him credit, but one of the biggest critics said that he got his Nick Saban starter kit. And just do it like we did it before, and if it worked there, it can work here. Really. But anyway, you're doing terrific stuff. Tell people real quick where you can go hear you, see you. You're budding little superstar now. I love your Christmas tree still being up. Leave it up for a while. And congratulations on all your success. I thought about you the other day when I saw Laura Brothers running across the field. Did you see that video?
I did. That was awesome.
And that's my girl. She was my intern. You'd never been an intern, but I just remember she always wanted the story so bad.
Yeah.
She really, and did you see Chris Berman's call on it?
Yeah.
It was great.
It's awesome.
So proud of Laura. She's such a wonderful person and a terrific reporter, and she wears her success really well, as you do, my friend. Okay? Yeah. All right, you keep it up. I expect to be seeing you running across that field one day.
Maybe so. Right now, just chasing kids. But
you'll have the 4 kids with you. You're 5 actually now, right?
Yes, trailing behind. Yeah, well, we'll be running this weekend. We have 5 soccer games, 4 flag football games, and 2 gymnastics meets between Friday and Sunday. So I'm going to put my track shoes on.
You should do an NIL deal with somebody with a van, put Allie's kids on the side of it, crank it up and go, right?
Yeah.
Like the Batmobile. Hey, thank you. So good to see you and talk to you again. And look forward to having you on every time, and Happy New Year again, okay?
Happy New Year to you as well.
Thank you. The great Peek Wilbur. Thank you. All right, folks, we're going to wrap it up tonight with this. We're going to go ahead and tell you about our friends at Titan MRI. Great folks. They've been a great sponsor of ours and a friend. And they got a service you should know about. If you don't, you should know by now. That is that Titan MRI Imaging has 3 locations to serve you. 2 in Gainesville and with its Park Avenue location now at the Millennium Center. 1 in Lake City, serving all of Columbia County in Valdosta, Georgia. They offer the same great customer service. That means you can call them up and say, I can't come during the day, I work. They said, great, we'll make you an appointment at night. Who does that? Titan MRI and Imaging now accepts insurance, or you can go through their convenient self-pay options. They have many of them. They offer MRIs, CAT scans, X-rays, and ultrasounds. Lots of options, like I said, with your scheduling. This is my favorite part. They have a larger MRI machines for your patient comfort. If you're claustrophobic like I am, those small tubes, I love to get the bigger machines. No ERs, no hospitals. Coming soon to Ocala, better serve Marion County and the surrounding areas with Titan MRI. It's your choice. Well, thank you, our guest tonight. We had a great lineup and appreciate Kevin Brockway. Be sure to read the stuff in the Gainesville Sun. Also, for Allie Peek Wilbur, who's the best, is love her to death. And also, I'm sorry we can't get Carlton Reese. He's just one of the finest journalists, writers, editors I know. And I like having him on the air, but he's having problems with his, with his internet. And I'm sorry about that. But anyway, so stay tuned here, and we'll be back again. We're not going to have a program tomorrow night because of the playoff game, but stay tuned to the guys who do the shows here, Lauren Meadows, etc., all that team. Thank you for the Brendan Martin, executive producer. Have a great night, folks.